Hey everybody, it's Rabbit. So today what we're going to be doing is going to be looking at some awesome Merkava Mark 3B gameplay. This game was a little weird for several reasons. So we actually spawned in a little bit late, which I normally don't get, which is why I don't care enough to turn off the spawn match in progress thing, but we did get it this game. I also got a rather unfortunate bug, which I've gotten a few times, and we've run into a building. Awesome. But I got a rather unfortunate bug I've gotten a few times where I can't pull up the scorecard, so I can't actually see how many teammates and enemies are left alive, or what vehicles everybody's in. You also see me acting really weird here. That's because, I didn't immediately realize how far our team pushed up to the map and progressed. So I'm actually, more cautious than I should be in this position. This game also kind of shows off the 3B itself. The real thing the 3B has going for it is its gun. The mobility isn't a complete dumpster fire, but compared to almost everything else you'll fight at 10-0 is really not particularly good. I'm leaving the name tags up even though this isn't an arcade game, just to make it easier to see what's going on. Some of these kills are a little weird. Here we have, over around the corner, we see this T-72 M2. Or, no, I don't quite see him yet. This is where I see him. Come on. So we knock out his breach. We don't knock out anything else. At this point, I think this guy's gonna get to cover. But for some reason, he backs up or something. And you can see we just went straight through his driver's port there. Easy shot. But we could have easily upper front plated him at that point. That is one of the advantages this tank has, is this cannon has an absolutely absurd amount of pen for its battle rating, so you can just kind of upper front plate people without any real issue. You kind of have to get a max up tier before you care. The main shell it carries, or at least the rank, I think it's rank 3 or 4, has a maximum pen of 589 millimeters, so it is a hot knife through butter unless you're fighting tanks that are noticeably higher BR than you. This game also ended up the bug wherein I couldn't actually tell what vehicles were on both teams ended up hurting me in several ways later on in the match. And I also get in some pretty weird positions. Here I'm I know there's an enemy here. I'm taking some Marco Polo shots. It's just continual smoke and I can't see him. So at this point, we're mostly just backing off. The reload on this is a little on the high side, but it's nothing too tragic. Given how quickly most fights are decided. Now, that shot actually hit a building next to it. The way he appeared on thermals, I couldn't quite tell where he started and the building began. So I actually kind of missed that shot. Gonna go here. There we go. Alright, cool. And we're gonna tuck in this awkward position next to this building. I have no idea how my shot didn't take out anything on him and his shot didn't take out anything important on me. But we get him with the second shot. I figured since I fired first, I would have the advantage on reload, but my engine was disabled, so it didn't really matter. So we're about 2 kills in. Again, I can't really see the scorecard, so I didn't actually know how well or poorly I was doing at this point. But yeah, we're just kind of repairing. Our team is not... I see this guy, and I'm couldn't quite get a shot ready on him. But... also kind of don't want to give away my position to take pot shots at a helicopter, because I kind of realize at this point that I'm right next to B, and the enemy is pushing A. So, that's an issue. I also hear the audio cues from my immediate left, so I'm there's an enemy here, but I don't really know what's going on. And this is CCZ88A, we can see the name tag through the building. But I was like, if he's gonna come from in front of or behind me, I have to kind of make the 50-50 guess. And... turns out, he wasn't paying enough attention for that guess to really matter all that much. So, this is where I bought this BMP-2M as well. This guy's just kind of driving in the open. He's no worries in the world. And just put it round straight through his turret and kill him. That was kind of weird. We're up to 4 kills. We're in an awkward position. I kind of expect an enemy to come, hunting for me at some point. But then I look around and I'm we just don't have a team. And I realize this Puma's pushing up and I'm this is probably the best chance we have. So I actually decided well... I'm not entirely certain that it makes sense to keep camping this lane, and the Puma's pushing up, so I actually want to go up with the Puma. So, they end up doing that in a minute, where I'm But, like, yeah, this is one of those where I'm pretty confident we're going to lose at this point because our team is almost non-existent. We don't have a lot of map pressure. But like I said, the Puma's pushing up far enough that I'm like, well, if we can get B, like, we stand a chance, right? So, this is the reverse speed on this tank. It's awful, by the way. Well, it's not like Russian awful, but it's pretty bad. And this is where we start, like, it's like, do we want to capture B? And the Puma gets knocked the hell out. So I'm like, even bigger question of do we want to capture B, or do we want to just camp the lane and try to cut off reinforcements and hope that's enough to help our team? Because there's always that question if your team's getting smashed of, like, if you run out to help them, you're just gonna die as well. So, like, I always have that, like, awkward dilemma. But we have this T-72 who's kind of cruising towards us. Like, we can hear his engine, but, like, it's kind of off in the distance, so we're not really sure exactly what's going on. Our team is retaking A, and I'm like, okay, you know, maybe we'll have something going on if we can stop reinforcements from coming across the B line, right? Maybe. But that's pretty conditional. So at this point, we're, like, mostly just sitting by B, waiting for our teammates to make some level of progress to make a B cap viable. Because if we just reveal our position for no reason, we're just gonna get murdered. And now we really hear this T-72 engine, and we're like, really hope this guy appears in front of us, or we're gonna have a problem. And the other problem is that there are two of them. So first one down. He bounces, probably skips across our tracks or something. Somehow we only get his driver with that. He makes an awful shot, and also doesn't have a fast turret traverse, so we figure we can just use the building. So, 2v1, seems good. Up to 6 kills. We have a really weird encounter later in this game with a helicopter too, but we'll go over that when it happens. I'm like, okay, cool. Go clear the area. We have B. We have an Abrams heading towards us. That is going to be not, like, he's not useless, but he's not as helpful as I would like. There's a helicopter shooting missiles at us, but he can't see shit, so we're not worried about it. You can see him off in the distance. Like, he's like 4 kilometers out. It was part of the reason we take this position. So I'm calling in artillery strikes on, like, the main routes, trying to keep an eye and ear out for everything. Also, one thing you're gonna see, you'll notice I have 3 rounds of ammo. So, like, I start to leave the point, then I'm like, wait a minute. Back up for a minute. 3 rounds of ammo is really not much. I have spent entirely too much. So, let's make sure we replenish that for a little bit. So we have 6 kills, we have 1 zone cap, doing pretty decent. You're probably asking yourself if I got a nuke. That's a good question. Keep watching. Because with 6 kills and a zone cap, we're building up a pretty solid amount of score right now. The heli's still just sitting there. He's like, eventually they'll give me a shot. It's like, no, we won't. It's just no chance. We have no reason to give you a shot, dude. So, in here, replenish ammo. And here we just upper front plate this T-64B. Kill 2 crew members. All's well that ends well. That's where this Chowie just shoots us. Abrams takes him out. Didn't really need that, but, you know, helpful. But the Chowie just gets our engine. Nothing too bad. I'm kind of hoping that staying still, or this... I really don't think the Abrams needed to shoot that guy. In fact, I think it would be better to not shoot him, because it feels like that gives away the position a little too much, but whatever. Like, I kind of smoked because he wasn't the only aircraft up there, but I don't think the Abrams needed to shoot him at all. So, at this point, we have the advantage. We have A, we have B, we have A. And I can't really see how the 2 teams are doing, but it feels like their team is pretty heavily depleted as well. Like it's not just our team that is low on players, they are also hurting. So at this point, my strategy is literally to just cut off the approach to B or C. Like, that's the plan that I think will carry us through this game. Because, like, if we have 2 caps and they have 1, we eventually win on taking 2. So my strategy, we're not exactly, like, we're not moving to necessarily a spawn camp. We're moving to, like, a cutoff position where, you know, if anybody tries to go for points, we can take them out. So that's why you notice, like, and you'll notice I'm, like, leapfrogging from building to building, trying to find weird off angles. Because either A, we get free kills off of it, right? Like the enemy just blows past us. And this is where the Abrams is like, I'm going after C. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, that's not a great idea. Especially because he's driving down the road. And he gets tagged by an enemy, and I can't support him. Now, I actually do have the thermals to see through the smoke screen, but, like, there are so many angles he can be shot at that, like, I just can't cover him. The Abrams ends up getting taken out, which is unfortunate. He really should not have just driven down the road like that, unfortunately. That was an error on his part. So at this point, we're still in a winning proposition. Knock him out, easy peasy. At this point, we still have a winning proposition. We have 1 point, they have 1 point, 1 point is neutral, we have more tickets. Again, just all we have to do is hold. So we're 8 kills, 1 zone cap. Here I hear this helicopter, and I'm like, where the hell is this guy? And then he just appears in front of me. And it turns out the Merkava has a lot of machine guns and is very resistant to rockets. So that guy was never going to kill us in a million years. And we absolutely obliterate him. So we're 8 kills, 1 aircraft kill, and then we get taken out by a BMD-4. And this is where not being able to see the scorecard screwed me over, because I thought the difference in players was closer than it was, at least players in useful vehicles, when I spawned my next spawn. Because I actually ended up spawning an A4N. And I should not have spawned an A4N, I should have spawned a Galbatash, maybe a Mark IIB. I also thought the enemy team was weaker than they were, so it was like the likelihood of a 2S6 is lower, so I can get real value off the A4N. The 2S6 was up, so I had to climb higher. Like, all of that just didn't work at all. And now the enemy's capturing B, and yeah, everything went from this is winnable to just completely tits up. So ultimately, spoiler, we do not win. I didn't quite have enough for a nuke, and the rest of the match is just me milling around in the A4N, not really doing anything, or at least not doing anywhere near enough to stop it. So anyway, the 3B, useful tank, especially at its battle rating. The gun is good. The armor, I mean, it doesn't have any armor, but the internal layout makes it hard to damage. The engine is trash, but it's still very workable. I actually like it. It's a great backup at top tier. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice day, everybody.